Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And as the days tick down to the stage 1 major, Octane has made it very clear indeed what exactly Envoy brings to this Los Angeles Thieves squad that makes them so scary heading into this major, but also some competitive integrity issues raising their heads once again. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel, thank you very much indeed for doing that. As aBeZy says, cannot wait for the major, not long at all. I guess today's Saturday, it's only a few days time on the Thursday when this kicks off for real. And well, there's going to be some crazy matches this weekend. The day one of matches, honestly, the schedule is just absurd. Now, well, first of all, we've got to talk about the MP40, because they made a change a couple of days ago, as Crow pointed out, that the damage range has been decreased, I believe, by about 20 or so % in terms of 4-shot and 3-shot kill range. That should make it better, or at least more balanced, that's to say. The guns should get worse in theory against some of the other weapons in the game. But, well, still, some of the players aren't so convinced this is actually viable. As Trey says, like they're playing 0 over the London side, it's still the best gun in the game. I believe even Dashy replies and says, what are you thinking about here, mate? So, yeah, it seems like the MP40 is still very strong. I do wonder at some point, because this kind of did happen in Modern Warfare, for example, when they finally got rid of one of the attachments on the MP5, they got rid of the 10mm attachment, and then the Uzi and kind of the AUG actually was, well, GA'd after about 1 day of using it in scrims. But still, there were some other weapons that were used in the pro scene that pros did try out over time because they realized that because of a nerf to the main weapons, that other guns might actually be viable. So we'll see how this develops over time. For now, it seems like, yes, the MP40 is still going to be the go-to this weekend, even though technically it is better, and even as Insight says, right, a lot of frustrations really from the pros, I think, especially playing ranked play, because the MP40 seems to be everywhere, and one MP40 3-bullet death away from breaking down and crying. So yeah, Insight and the boys don't seem to be all that happy about this one, but yeah, maybe the MP40 needs a further nerf, right, because I imagine in public games, probably the MP40 is just dominating things, and in ranked I imagine it is as well. So I guess the developers looked at that and thought, okay, maybe we need to nerf this to some degree, like 20% or so in terms of the ranges, but maybe they make an additional change over time to keep things a little bit more balanced. So definitely something to keep your eyes on, because I wouldn't be surprised if further weapon updates as the season progresses definitely changes how things look on the professional side. This is also a big discussion of the last few days. Not really sure anyone knows what's going on here, but I mean, look, there's a thing called G-Sync on the monitors. I believe what that is when they're like, let's say the monitor has a 240 Hz refresh rate, which I believe is what they play on, as actually Clay says it right here. And if they don't get that in terms of FPS, then having G-Sync on, I believe it should make your screen smoother. Like, it should get rid of like the tearing that happens. But still, I'm not sure whether it's actually a good idea or not. So Clay was kind of wondering, should we actually have it on our monitors or should we not? Like, apparently there's a lot of factors to consider here. And as Clay says, okay, so our issues aren't with our main gaming PCs, but when we have to play tournaments on our league PCs that have RTX 280s in them, as opposed to actually good graphics cards, or like better graphics cards. That's a pretty solid graphics cards that they have in their own setups. Now, that's the issue really that a lot of people are describing. Even I saw Maven, I think, in one thread saying, hang on a second, you guys don't get 240 Hertz on your 240 Hertz monitors. You don't get 240 FPS when you're playing the game in-game. But that's exactly what is the case, right? When they play on the league PCs, that of course they don't have the craziest budget for, they're not going to go out and get these PCs with like 3090s in them, right? They're just going to have a graphics card which is good enough and gets the job done. But what that does mean is that they play on 240 Hertz monitors, but they don't get 240 FPS on the league PCs. They get maybe 200, maybe 210 as they say. So I think this is the case. G-Sync wouldn't have that input delay. I'm losing full to slashes. I no one really seems to know what's going on here. It's a bit of a chaotic one, but yeah, I believe this has been a complaint in other esports as well, that you kind of play on your own setup at home. You're getting 300 FPS comfortably right on your own, your great graphics cards that all these pros have in their own setups. Then they play on the league PCs, which are of course sanctioned by the league, make sure so they can test them right to make sure they don't have any hacks on them and this type of stuff, but they actually don't get the FPS they should be getting, and therefore it's creating all these problems. So maybe something the CDL can consider testing and giving these guys advice on, but yeah, probably not something that's going to change anytime soon, to be honest. This also, just as the flank tweet I thought that was kind of funny. In fairness, over the last 3 years, I'd hazard a guess that probably this year's camos are nicer than the others. Like this, for example, is Modern Warfare, which just looks absolutely terrible. This, I believe, is, I guess, the Cold War one from last year, and then this is this year. So I guess it looks slightly nicer. Obviously, well, compared to what it was back in the Black Ops 3 days. Like, you guys might think this looks a bit brash and ugly, but in fairness, at least it has the logo on, right? And personally, there was an entire pack you used to get back in the day. You didn't pay $9.99 for like one team's camos. You paid maybe it was $9.99 or whatever it was back in the day, maybe $7.99 for every single camo in the North American side or the European side. You could buy the European pack, the APAC pack, the North American pack as well. Seems like the latest developers are on that Pine Park pack when they're designing these ones. But I mean, yeah, the Cloud9 one, especially back in the Black Ops 3 days, was absolutely beautiful. There were some other good ones as well. Elevate was nice. Like, just a shame that way things have gone, honestly, the last few years. Let's dive into this Los Angeles Thieves discussion then, because lately going into the major, We looked earlier today at some of the power rankings the pros had come up with, or sorry, the coaches. That's actually, as you can see right here, Los Angeles Thieves second on these power rankings, at least according to the coaches, right behind Atlanta FaZe, not all that far behind them, I believe. Some definitely have LA Thieves given their great hardpoint right now as one of the clear favourites here going into Major 1. So, well, a lot to still be determined right there. The communication has definitely been talked about as being very good indeed. And of course, Envoy last year was on the OpTic side. He definitely had some good moments over there. Now he's teaming with Octane here on Los Angeles Thieves. And firstly, it's just great to see that Octane seems very happy with this current roster. It's good to see him excited about his current Los Angeles Thieves squad, the potential that they have. I believe their hardpoint record is something like 8-2 right now, which is very good. But I believe FaZe are also like 7-2, and Los Angeles Guerrillas I think are 7-2 as well. So some have been saying that like LA Thieves are by far the best hardpoint team in the game. I don't think that's clear in terms of the stats. I think FaZe are very much there or thereabouts, as are the other Los Angeles team, it seems. But you know, they're still going to have to step up in the other modes. But it's cool to see that Envoy gets a lot of credit here from Octane. Octane basically goes on to say, I'll share the clip for you guys in a second, that this Envoy guy sometimes will just completely take over a game, unlike really any other player he's ever seen.
Dude, teaming with Dylan is comedy, dude. He actually will solo win you a map out of like nowhere, bro. I've never seen anything like it. Literally. Like, I've seen players like take over games and like go 40-12, and they're like, that's how they'll win you the map. No. Dylan, he'll have his games where he goes 40-20. But bro, he will like, perfect example, Gavitu control. It's 2-1, we're up, we're on offense. Dude, he does owe me 2 years. That's a great point second. Dude, we're up 2-1, Gav control. We're capping A. And Dylan, I'm like, I'll refill, like, go off. I'm coming from cliff. I jump on A, 10 seconds go by. I hear nothing. I'm like calling out. I'm like figuring out where people are. 10 seconds go by. We have a tick on B. Dylan has streaks. And like, he got like 5 kills. I'm just like, what the happened for this to occur? And that happens like maybe a couple of times a week where he'll just have a play. And I'm just like, oh, Dylan's winning us the game, guys. It's lit. Like the P1 break against Toronto first map when he got a literal 5-piece. In the comms, I was like, hey guys, Dylan's winning us the map. We're good. Let's go.
So we certainly did see what Envoy was capable of the last couple of years. I think his best year probably was Modern Warfare, right, on the Chicago Huntsmen. You could argue actually it was Gen G the year before on Black Ops 4, and then that was obviously when it was 5v5. And when it went back to 4v4, Envoy was actually quite clear that he didn't actually like that change. He wanted it to stay 5v5, probably where his playstyle is more preferable, because a lot of people said, okay, the flanking and the routes that Envoy likes to take maybe work better when there's an extra player on the map that can sneak through the gaps and not necessarily get picked up on, because let's say in a 4v4 situation, if you want to go on a flank, that means your teammates might be playing 3 versus 4 on the hard points, whereas in 5v5, like 4 versus 5, is slightly easier for the attackers, I guess, or one player goes a little bit rogue. And, you know, we have seen so far this season, and last season as well, at times Envoy was inconsistent. Like, I'm pretty sure that the series they played against OpTic at the Kickoff Classic, Envoy had a pretty woeful series up until right at the very end, when he made a crazy play to win them the game. That's what Octane seems to be kind of getting across here at Envoy, that, you know, yes, sometimes Envoy can have inconsistencies, he sometimes does disappear in the big series, but still, when you need him to turn up and when in a big moment, Envoy can just pull out something absolutely insane, right? And he says he does that very consistently, unlike really any other player that Octane's actually ever played with, which is quite a remarkable gas. So this team does seem to be meshing very nicely. Of course, if it is working in the hardpoint, it's probably going to work out in the other game modes over time as well. Octane's been great. His sniper's been on point as well so far. Excited to see how the snipes work out on land this coming weekends, because, you know, we've got the fans back in the venue again. We've got, snipers coming into play. Envoy making plays. It's always a good time. I mean, look, they play Los Angeles Thieves to play up against Toronto Ultra in the very first round. Not going to be so easy for them. I'm sure the revenge wants to be there from the Toronto side, but Octane seems to be confident they'll be able to get the job done regardless. This also from Clayster and Octane, because a bit of a discussion here, well, a week or so ago now, but kind of had this saved up, thought it was about time to mention it. Now, well, just before I believe one of the final week of league matches, Clayster says the following: been terrorizing pro scrims and 8s with this guy. So, well, there's some new character in the game. Of course, they have these type of stuff all the time. Now, it is a bit of a question from the pros. Like, what can we actually use in these custom games? Are we allowed to just, if I'm playing scrims, for example, am I allowed to just use some random character? Because I believe last year there was some talk about, okay, you're not allowed to use this character or this character because it makes your character invisible in certain situations. And I think in the official CDL games, you're meant to just use the default ones so that the kind of overlay comes through, right? That's at least what they did last year in Cold War. Pretty sure the players themselves would just use all the default stuff, and then the kind of camos would get overlaid after the fact when they were on the stream, which looked kind of cool. And if you use something that wasn't the default, then that wouldn't be able to happen. happen for whatever reason. So, well, anyway, Glacier apparently was running around with this one, and maybe it's harder to shoot, maybe it's distracting, I don't really know. As Octane says, God, please take the suit off, my competitive integrity is down the drain. I cannot shoot against non-default operators. Maybe, you know, tongue-in-cheek a little bit right here from Octane. But still, players have definitely got frustrated about this in the past, right, when other pros are using different skins in the kind of scrims and stuff that, you know, maybe they're not used to actually shooting against, because they do always look different, and, like, even though the hitbox might be the same, like, it just looks a little bit different to shoot against. Like, it creates something that you might have played against in a real game. Maybe a way to get some mind games over your opposition by using some of this in the scrim matches behind the scenes. Few things to finish off the video here with. This also from Mantra, this thought was pretty cool. This is way back in the day, Call of Duty League Season 2 teams. I'm guessing this is back in, like, what, 2014, 2015? I'm guessing this is Advanced Warfare, just looking at some of these team names, maybe early Advanced Warfare, like Strictly Business Justice. Like, I think Envoy was actually on this team for a time. Both the FaZe teams, right? FaZe Red, FaZe Black. Could have even been Late Ghost, to be honest. I'm not incredibly familiar with how everything went on in that time period. But yeah, just a good time looking back at these old organization names, to be honest. This also from COD Complex thought was quite interesting going into this major. Just at some statistical analysis in terms of plant speed and offense win percentage. So right now, ordered by offense win percentage, Boston are at the top, then OpTic right behind them. But very interesting actually that the average plant time is well, very varied between these teams. I think OpTic probably have got this slightly quicker as of late, but they are pretty much the slowest team in the entire league. Yeah, they are statistically planting the bomb on offense. They take their time. They're pretty strategic with how they approach their offensive rounds. But we'll see, for example, FaZe, they're the quickest plant in the entire game, and they win pretty much the same round win percentage. So it is quite interesting, the meta here, because that team like FaZe just rushes in, they get the bomb down straight away, as do Los Angeles Guerrillas in general, like at London not far behind them, New York in a similar boat as well, but they way down here on the round win percentage. But OpTic here actually with quite substantially the longest, plant time. Like, I'm pretty sure the next longest is, what, 44 seconds? OpTic way up here at 51 seconds, so on average they plant the bomb with 39 seconds left on the clock, but they're still winning the vast majority of their offensive rounds. So it is interesting to see how the meta here may well develop over time. This also, just before we close out with a nice little highlight moment, which pillar you taking? I believe FaZe Clan did this a while ago. I'm guessing they've changed up which maps are on each side here, and I think even the ghost said in the reply on the flag to it, take the purple pill, right, to both of these ones combined. But I mean, yeah, red pill, we've got Terminal, we've got Rust, we've got Raid, we've got Dome for Modern Warfare 3, and then High Rise, Favela at the bottom here, of course, Hijacked and Nuketown. Personally, Nuketown and Hijacked are just the same map, but you know, Hijacked has an underground. That's always how I thought about it. So I'd probably go for the red pill, but you know, intriguing on perspective, of course, in the comment section below, and just a nice couple of snipes here from Zero, just to spice things up before this weekend. Very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on a like button. Tells the YouTube gods it's a good video, and also like you should see it as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.